inspired the idea for Frog Squad?
Okay, Frog Squad. So I guess it's inspired by a love of all things oceanic and everything growing up, looking at Jacques Cousteau and all that sort of stuff, and then getting older and seeing the great stuff like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, that great film, and I
And the
think
James Bond.
James Bond as well is a big factor in there. A little bit of Danger Mouse, perhaps. But yeah, all these kind of influences, I guess, have swirled around like a bit of a, like a little bit of a cyclone, and yeah, came out with frogs.
Definitely could see the comic style and the like reality TV film aspect really present in it as well. I loved
Yeah,
it.
right. No, thank
Oh,
you.
that's
Thanks.
great.
How long did it take you to write Frog Squad?
So, it probably took coming up with the idea. The first one takes the longest, and I think it probably took about a year to kind of get the whole idea together. We've written three now. The other two haven't come out, but once the first one's written, the other ones are more like it probably takes 2 months to write. The individual books after that. It took quite a while to get the world together, and also because we wanted to write it differently. Like we wanted to have something outside of the story that was unique, and we wanted to play with it. We It took a while to come up with the idea of making it a reality television show
Mm,
as well,
mm,
but that was really crucial to it because like because it's for this age group that is um, sort of making that transition into chapter books.
Yeah.
Those kind of ads, the commercial breaks that happen in it are really great brain breaks. And kids would tell us, "Oh, I get really tired, when I'm
mm.
reading." And they're at that age group where they do. So they kind of those ad breaks kind of are brain breaks that kind of stop the story for a second and then restart the story. So pulling all that together took a while, but now we've got the hang of it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know the characters better the second time around that you write one of these than the third time. So yeah, everything gets a little more streamlined, a bit more shorthand, I guess.
Was it a thought to introduce the characters through the fact files, or was it just something that you thought of later?
Well, I think with that age group, the more you can make it chunky, the more you can make each piece really digestible, the longer they'll read and the more that they'll have an attachment to that literacy and kind of carry through there. So
Mm,
we had done it in underdogs
mm,
with we had done these kind of little fact files on characters. So we wanted to do that again because we knew that was a really good way for the kids to go, oh, okay, I know that character. This is a new series. And it made sense for the reality TV format as well.
yeah, and they almost act like little football cards or something, with little player stats and stuff. And we know kids love trading those, collecting those. So it sort of plays in with that, I guess, that playground language that they're already talking.
Definitely. How did you develop your plot and your characters?
Plot and characters. How do we do that? Well, look,
How do we do that?
well, I
How
guess,
do we do
I
that? I'm not
guess,
sure.
I guess we wanted to give it that. Going back to that reality TV structure, which is such a, it was written in the, a parody of stuff like Bondi Rescue or Border Force or Cops or whatever. But it's, I guess that is a great way for unraveling the plot in a way that kids won't get confused because the reality TV structure is very hand holding. It tells you exactly what's going on. There's a recap after every commercial break telling you exactly what you've just seen before. So no one's getting lost in this plot. And it is
And
I
that's
guess, quite a
really
linear plot too
it's
in this
linear,
case.
but there's also like I think a really important thing with that age group is that they're never confused because when they get confused, they just shut the book. They're like, "That's it," and they're very unforgiving.
Yeah.
So we really were aware that that young reader is kind of sensitive to being confused, and that's the end of the game. So we're very how do we create a fast-paced story that's a lot of fun but doesn't leave that early reader going, oh, I feel a bit lost.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things for them to kind of grab onto as they move through the story.
Yeah.
They're
And then
all
we just wanted to be a lot of fun, a lot of madcap stuff. So there's an ice cream tanker rather than an oil tanker, stuff like this. Just a
Silly.
yeah, silly stuff that kids love.
and I
A
still
giant
I
bird.
loved it. Still had like the environmental issues sort of prevalent, but in a fun way for the kids to enjoy as well. Instead of like you said, the ice cream instead of the oil, which
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a big thing for us. I mean, even with things like our picture books like Bin Chicken and stuff like that, like they have this environmental message, but we don't want to um be didactic and preach a particular thing. What we want is for kids to come to their own ideas around things. And I think fun and playfulness are such great ways for kids to go, oh, okay, yeah, I get that idea. That's the marine world. I want that protected. And you can have a fun story in that and build up that empathy in doing that while you're having fun. It doesn't all have to be sort of very solemn and very serious. In fact, I don't think it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. How important was research for your frog squad?
Mm.
Well, yeah, we thought we yeah, frogs in wetsuits. What kind of research do you need to do? But then I suppose there is like a wealth of like background sort of research and stuff
We actually
that went
started
into it.
getting into a lot of research. So we started researching all the different kinds of frogs.
We did do that. We did. We went on a deep dive as to the different species of frogs. We did want it to be kind of, you know, scientifically kind of maybe not accurate, but kind of scientifically friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what you do is like we actually started getting into all these different researching all these different frogs and even though not necessarily all of them end up in the book, they give us a lot of ideas. So just looking at all the kind of the wild things that can happen in nature and kids are really interested in that. Like when you tell them there's an Ecuadorian glass frog and you can see through it, they're like, okay, you have my attention.
Yeah.
So we wanted to really find out all these fun nature facts and build those nature facts into the story play as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess there's cultural research as well that goes into it. So probably watching Top Gun a few too many times and that sort of thing, because there's a little bit of that in there as well.
You- Kids always have the a wealth of facts that they like to tell you, and they're not
Yeah.
unforgiving with the barrage of questions and facts that they'll send to you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What part of the book was the most fun to write?
The ads.
I think the ad breaks are a lot of fun. Just imagining what a frog might be persuaded to buy, because it's a universe where frogs are playing the role of people. So there's things like burgers with flies in them. Of course, because what frog wouldn't want to eat that? And aftershave for frogs. I don't even know if
Fragrances.
fragrances. Yeah, I don't think frogs actually shave. I don't know. Maybe not.
And side of the story that we never know.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice would you give others to help create plot lines?
Oh, okay. So that's always a tricky one. I know so many authors who the plot is the thing. It's like, I've got my characters, I've got my world, but like, what do I do with them? And it is a challenge, but I think one of the things with plot is that you need to create challenges. So it's looking for these characters to get into trouble and not have what they want and have to do something. So the first thing that I would do is think, what kind of trouble can you create for your characters? So, and that's what baddies do so well. That's why we need baddies in books, because they create these incredible challenges for our characters. If it wasn't for baddies, our main characters would just spend 315 pages playing Fortnite. We need baddies to get our characters up and moving. So that's what I would do. Create some trouble.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do you do anything to get into the head of your characters?
Into the head of the characters.
We get to know them. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the main
yeah.
thing is like we don't just write, okay, Dr. Jilly Gilly, she's the girl frog, like we're like, okay, who is this character? Yep, and what is it like being a marine biologist? And we look at what that job is, and it's a sort of a job where kids are really drawn to that job. It's one of those popular kid jobs. But then we also look at, well, what do marine biologists do now? And lots of them have YouTube channels and lots of them share their interesting stuff that they do online. So we try and build layers around our characters like that, give them qualities. And if they're a character that's like Tony Rowley, the captain,
Mm.
give them weaknesses as well. So
Yeah,
they've
like
got that.
his bravado, I guess, and his sort of like, gung ho attitude to everything.
But he just misses the,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What is the most valuable piece of advice you've been given about writing?
Mm. I think the most valuable piece of advice I've been given, and one that we give to kids when we go to school visits, is that perfect is the enemy of awesome. And what that means is don't listen to that doubtful voice that we all have that sort of tells you, oh, it's not quite right, and I don't know if my handwriting's good, and I'm not sure if I've spelt this correctly, and I don't know where my story's going. And it's just go with it. Just get in there, make a mess, write a first draft, get it down. The place for doing all of that is in drafting. You can get all that stuff perfect later, but you just have to back yourself and keep moving.
Mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then the other piece of advice that we often dish out at school visits is if you're stuck, don't worry about being stuck. Everyone gets stuck. That's a sign that you've got lots of ideas that are all kind of bumping into each other to get out.
Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't worry, and go have a sandwich or something.
And come back.
take a break, and then
Yeah.
come back to
You
it,
don't need the
and the
pressure.
problem will be gone. Generally, 9 times out of 10.
That's perfect advice for any writers at any age as well. I
Thank you.
think a lot of people try and focus on perfect when the first draft just is to get everything
Yeah,
out
just get it
beforehand.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get it
yeah.
out.
I've got couple more questions. How do you celebrate when you finish your book?
Oh, well, it's such an look, when you finish the book, it's just the beginning of the process because the first draft is done, then you got to send it off to the publisher, and there's the whole editing process. I think the real celebration for me is when you get the box in the
Yeah, yeah.
mail
The
and then
advance
you
copy.
see the copy and you're like, oh, and that never gets old,
No,
just
it's great.
seeing a brand new book for the first time is pretty exciting. And
Mm.
just also because most of our books are illustrated, getting to enjoy the artwork that's not on a PDF on the screen but actually in your hands, and
Yeah,
it's so much better when you're seeing them like that and seeing it all come together. So yeah, that's pretty great.
totally. Just got to
Okay.
let our dog in who wants to join the
Join the
interview.
interview. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Speaking of holding books in your hand, I saw that you've got your new junior fiction
Yes,
tales. What inspired you to go from the picture books to the junior fiction?
I think
Well,
it's. I
this
think
was actually a good idea from the publisher. The publisher said to us, would you guys like to write a junior fiction based off the bin chicken? And we hadn't actually thought of it. And usually we think of these things, but she was like, that would be a good idea. And we thought, yeah, it's actually a really good idea because a lot of kids love the bin chicken books.
Yeah.
Uh, and they do like them for a long time, actually. I think it's because they like the bird and they like that. So we still get,
yeah.
I mean, even today on a school visit, you'll have grade fours with the bin chicken
Oh
picture
yeah,
books.
yeah.
Great.
We read it to year 6.
Yeah, they just it's pretty broad appeal, but it is tricky to go from picture books to chapter books or graphic novels, and so it did make sense that there's an endless amount of stories, and we've written it really differently as well. It isn't a bin chicken book. It's written about one of the bin chicken from the picture books, kids. That is the bin chicken so it's one of the young bin chickens, and it's his adventures with his friends who are a rat and a sparrow that's really lazy and doesn't fly and only flies on a drone. And so the three of them kind of go out and have fun in the city doing stuff. So it has a different flavor completely. And the illustrations that Ronajoy's done, same illustrator, but he's really done a different style too. So it feels really different.
Yeah, far more comic book. Very yeah. It's his wonderful style, but just even a little more freeform and even more imaginative.
And I guess you get to pull the kids who are sort of over reading picture books now into reading the chapter books and
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
continue their love
100%.
of reading as well.
Yeah,
That's right.
and I think it also gives you the confidence as well. If you think, I like picture books, oh, this is from those people, to say, maybe it would get you to make that step.
Mm,
Maybe you'd feel more confident to make it.
yeah.
And my final question is, do you have a favorite snack or drink to have when you're writing?
Snack or drink. I don't mind a cheese toasty. You know, particularly in the cooler months that we're in.
I was going to pretend it was tea, but the truth is it's chips, and that's it. I'm a sucker for chips.
Yeah, well,
Much like a bin chicken, really.
yeah, much like
Very, very, very happy to eat chips all the time.
yeah. I'm
Can't
sure
go
that's
wrong with
salted
chips.
food.
I love chips.
They're perfect. Perfect to eat no matter
All
what.
the time. When is the wrong time for chips?
No
No.
wrong time at
No.
all.
Yeah.